So team, most welcome to Agile ITSM. Main focus here, first let's understand what is Agile ITSM, how it works, and then on the tools. So there are multiple tools that can be used, but I'll tell you mainly the names of those tools, and I'll also tell you what attributes are needed in those tools. Now, there are multiple tools. We'll compare those tools, and let's start. So team, Mayuri might have already introduced me. So I'm a transformation lead, consultant, and I have these accreditations: Agile Service Manager, DevOps, DevSecOps, SRE, all these. Now team, this is our agenda. We are going to look at introduction to Agile ITSM, different Agile frameworks, which most of you already know, and then Agile ITSM tools, and what are different roles that are there in Agile Service Management, and how do we correlate them to Scrum and microprocesses. And when we talk about different events, different meetings, how it works in Agile Service Management, we can see that. And then in the end, I'll open a session for the question and answers. So team, all of us know what is Agile. Agile is a methodology which talks about 4 values. So these are 4 core values of Agile, and there are 12 principles. So these were part of Agile Manifesto that was introduced in 2001. So we have individuals and interactions over processes and tools. So individuals and interactions where you are valuing your people, you are empowering them to make the decision, you're decentralizing decision making, and you're letting your teams make right decisions, right choices over following specific processes and tools. So that's your first value. Then working software over comprehensive documentation. So you are going to focus on something that creates value for your customers. So you will have more focus on what needs to be delivered than spending your time on unnecessary activities. So it's kind of creating more value and more focus. So that's working software over comprehensive documentation. And then customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So here we are talking about keeping our customer always happy. And we need to collaborate with our customers. We need to interact with them as much as possible, get the faster feedback, deliver as per their expectations. So that's your third value. And the fourth value, responding to changes over following a plan. Don't follow a fixed plan. Be ready to adapt, be ready to change. And that is what going to make you flexible, means agile. You will get that agility. So if we talk about Agile, Agile is not a framework, but there are multiple other frameworks with which we apply this Agile mindset. So why I'm calling Agile as a mindset, it's a methodology, but why I call it as a mindset? Because it revolves around these 4 values. And we will implement these 4 values even in service management. And that's how we'll make service management as Agile service management. So these 4 values are very important. And then you have 12 principles. And these are those 12 principles. Like we said, we value customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So customer satisfaction is our utmost priority. We never say no to the changes. One of our values was we value responding to changes over following a plan. So we welcome changes. We never say no to the changes. And then we are saying deliver frequently. So whatever work we are doing, whatever feature, whatever services we are delivering, we will try to deliver them every couple of weeks to 1 month, means that's your sprint duration, iteration duration. So we deliver a working software, or we deliver the feature frequently, because we have to demonstrate that so that we can get a faster feedback. And then working together, and where we promote the collaboration. Business and the development teams work together, motivated individuals. We don't push work to the teams. Teams are going to pull the work. So we are talking about motivated individuals, motivated teams, face-to-face conversations. So where it promotes more collaboration between the team, eliminates any gaps, any misunderstandings. So face-to-face conversation. And working software. So working software is our primary measure of progress, because we deliver that every couple of weeks. So it's incremental delivery and constant pace. So business and the teams, they commit to a constant pace. And that is nothing but a sustainable development that we are committing to. And then good design will come from a team that is technically sound. So we talk about technical excellence that is needed for the team. Then simplicity, our ways of working are very simple. We don't hide things. We keep everything transparent. Self-organization is allowed. So self-organization, where we are letting team decide how to work. We are not going to tell team that how you're going to deliver. We just tell them what needs to be delivered. They decide how to deliver. They self-organize. So that is more of self-organizing team. And then reflect and adjust. So when I'm talking about reflect and adjust, so reflecting on the improvements means our lessons learned, whatever we have learned, we are trying to improvise. So that is where you are reflecting and learn, and adjust. So that we do as a part of every retrospective, where we try to understand what went well, what did not go well, and what can be done better next time. And in the next iteration, we will again try to see whether we implemented those actions or not. So that is reflect and adjust. Now, team, these are agile principles, and we saw 4 values of agile manifesto. It's only the mindset, and you already know that this is agile mindset. We have to implement this agile mindset in service management. That's how it will become agile service management. So if I talk about service management, for service management, we have a very good framework, which is ITIL. So ITIL as a framework defines the services, defines the service management, but ideally, IT service management is adopting a process approach towards management or focusing on customer needs and IT services for customer rather than IT systems, and stressing on continual improvement. Now, if you look at these, this is also a kind of mindset where we are trying to create value for our customers, where we are trying to ensure that all their needs are met. And even in Agile, we are saying that we are going to have more customer satisfaction, more customer collaboration. So both the principles, both the frameworks, or let's say Agile as a mindset and IT service management, for which we have ITL as a framework, they are talking about creating the guidance or creating the value. So in fact, it's a mindset and working towards something that is beneficial, that is valuable for the customer. So we are going to now club them together. So that's where we come to Agile ITSM, Agile Service Management. So when I look at the Agile Service Management, it's 2 different things are getting married here, where we are saying Agile. Agile is your mindset, that methodology, and IT service management, for which we have ITL as a framework. We are going to now club them together. So Agile ITSM combines the principles, practices of Agile methodology, those 4 values and 12 principles, with the IT service management. And main purpose is to enhance flexibility, responsiveness, and collaboration in delivery of services. And that's where Agile ITSM helps. Now, what are the key objectives? Well, key objectives, why we want to be Agile. First, let me tell you, our traditional way of working in IT service management was more of predictive method or more of waterfall method, where we have been working on different processes or different demands in a very waterfall method. Like you capture the demands, then you're going to plan, then you're going to implement those processes, then you're going to execute, and then those services will be delivered. So it's more of a waterfall method. In fact, now it's a time to be agile, because if we are not agile, we are losing out to our competitors who are more agile or more flexible than us. They can respond to the market changes faster than us. So that is the need for being agile. So here we are saying enhance the service delivery. That is our key objective, where we want to improve the speed and the quality of IT services. So that's why we need to be agile. Increase efficiency, optimize those processes, reduce the waste. So here we are going to use lean thinking principles, boost customer satisfaction, ensure IT services meet and exceed the customer expectations, and foster a culture of continuous improvement. Regularly review and refine those processes for ongoing enhancements. So this is your key objective. Now, team, what are the core elements of Agile ITSM? As we discussed, as even Agile and even service management, they were more focused on customer centricity. So we are saying it's very customer centric approach. So we are focusing on delivering value to the customer or creating value for the customer, frequent feedback loop to ensure customer needs are met, iterative process, where we are talking about work is divided into small manageable increments, and continuous improvement through regular iterations, and then collaboration and communication. So emphasis on teamwork and collaboration across stakeholders and regular communication to ensure alignment and quick issue resolution. And adaptability to change. We never say no to the changes. We are ready to change. So flexible processes that can change much faster, that can quickly adapt to the changing requirements of the customer. Encourages innovation and responsiveness. So these are core elements of Agile ITSM. So when we implement Agile Service Management in our organization, we are going to, again, look at these core elements and we are going to implement these. We are going to ensure that these elements are there as a part of Agile Service Management. Now, team, when we talk about Agile, as I told you, Agile is a mindset. It works with different frameworks. So Scrum is one of the framework. Now, Scrum was introduced in around 1993 and 1995. So when Scrum came in, Scrum was talking about mainly three roles: product owner, Scrum master, and the development team. But it introduced a beautiful way of managing very complex projects. So again, Scrum also focuses on delivering just enough products that can deliver value to the business. So Scrum is a framework for developing, delivering, and sustaining complex products through iterative processes or iterative progress, that is working in sprints. Now, every sprint is an iteration. Why? Because in every sprint, we are going to do the PDCA, plan, do, check, and then you call it as act or adjust. We are doing that. We do the sprint planning. We are going to conduct the daily stand-up meetings, daily Scrum meetings, and we are going to do the sprint review, because the main purpose of sprint is that we deliver something at the earliest to the customer. We demonstrate that so that we can get the quick feedback. So we are going to do the demo and then we capture the lessons learned. So that is more of a retrospective. So we are talking about checking what went well, what did not go well, and what can be done better next time. So these are those ceremonies that are conducted in every sprint, and it is repeated in every sprint. So we are calling those as iterations, and we deliver our product incrementally. And we get a faster feedback. We can improvise. So the deviation from the customer expectation would not be huge like it used to be in waterfall method. So waterfall method, where we used to spend time in capturing the requirements, and then we are going to do the overall design, and then we get into the development, and then we are going to, let's say, work on developing those products and then testing them, then deploying them. So we used to do each stage at a time, and we never used to go back. So it was more of a waterfall. Whereas now in the iterations, we have understood that customer feedback is changing faster, and we need to adapt as per their feedback. And that's why we need to get the faster feedback. We are going in the iteration, componentized manner. So that is more of a Scrum. Scrum as one of the Agile frameworks. Well, there are multiple other frameworks as well. So we are talking about Kanban as one of the Agile management frameworks, Agile service management frameworks, or you can call it as Agile framework. A visual workflow management method for defining, managing, and improving services that deliver knowledgeable work. And if we talk about key components, mainly the Kanban boards. So you have these visual dashboards where you have your to-do list, and then you take the ownership of those items, you move them to WIP, that is work in progress or work in process, and we limit that. And why we limit that? Because then we can identify the bottlenecks, we can identify the excess capacity if we have any, and we can create a seamless flow. So that is the reason why we apply the WIP limits, and that is very important in Kanban. And continuous flow of work, so ensure smooth flow of work items. In fact, we ensure that team members are not working on the larger batch sizes, means the work at their hand should be as small as possible so that they can process it faster and we move fast. So that is Kanban, another Agile framework. If we talk about Lean is one of the Agile frameworks where we focus on reducing the waste. So it's a methodology focused on maximizing value by minimizing waste and optimizing processes. Now, key components, value stream mapping, where we identify how much waste do we have in the overall flow. So we try to map the VA and the NVA time, and then we are going to work on eliminating the NVA time as much as possible. And then continuous improvement, so regularly assessing and improving processes, and also 5S. So that is talking about sorting or setting an order and shine and standardize and sustain. Now, what are the benefits? It helps in reducing the waste, so that increases our efficiency, enhances value delivery. So lean is very much a very important part of our agile service management as well. And then one of the practices that we use is DevOps integration. It works very well with agile, or it is one of the ways of being agile. Now, if I talk about DevOps, a framework, or not a framework, but collection of practices that is going to create a culture of collaboration between the development and operations by automating the software delivery and infrastructure changes. Now, if we talk about key components, we usually talk about CI/CD pipeline. So when we talk about CI, that is frequent integration of code changes into the shared repository. Now, developers are committing your code to Git. Maybe we have a pipeline tool that is Jenkins, which is going to extract that code and is going to put that into the development branch. I mean, again, it depends on the branching strategy, which goes for further automated build, then integration, unit testing, integration testing. All this is automated. Sorry. And it is going to then deliver it to the staging environment. So that is continuous integration. Continuous delivery, where we talk about making our code good enough to be released at any time, means it is always in the releasable state. So we can release on demand. That is continuous delivery. And there's another aspect of CD, which is continuous deployment, where we say that if code is tested and it passes the automated test, it gets deployed in the production environment directly. So that is also CD. A collaboration, that is foster a culture of shared responsibility, as I told you. So DevOps itself is a culture of collaboration. And again, DevOps is going to focus on the objectives like speed, reduction of errors, means enhancing the quality, focusing on reliability. So all these are objectives for DevOps also, and we do the objective measurement. Benefits are accelerates delivery, as I said, improves quality and enhances collaboration. These are some of the agile frameworks. Now, team, if I talk about the Agile ITSM tools or Agile service management tools, we are looking at these different tools. You have Jira Service Management, you have ServiceNow, which is very good service management tool. You have Chevelle, you have Zendesk, you have BMC. Well, all these are very good tools. Now, earlier, I mean, if I talk about the past, Jira was very good for only the project management. Service management was there, but not that enhanced. But now when we talk about agile service management, we need those Kanban boards. We have it in all these tools. They're supplying those Kanban boards. They are helping us with the with our events like sprint planning, daily stand-ups, daily scrum. All these things are present. I mean, we can track it. We can also ensure that if there are any issues, we are managing it more of a agile way. Now, before I talk about the tools, I'll come back to this slide later also in the end when I open the session for question answers. But how agile service management works, that we are going to see in next few slides. Here it's just a comparison. I'm just showing you the comparison on different aspects. Like if you look at price and maintenance, so which is expensive or which is cheaper, and ease of use if it comes to agile service management, then flexibility, then integration, training, CMDB, I mean, whether it is mobile, and what integrations it offers. So we have a lot of integrations for Jira. You have security, you have data retention, reporting, everything. In fact, ServiceNow is also picking up, but somewhere, if you compare it to Jira, these are areas which can be looked at in ServiceNow. Now, if I talk about different aspects of agile service management, so how it works, we'll look at that, and then we'll try to see whether these tools can help us meet those particular or let's say those expectations. Can they help us in those areas? We are going to see that. Now, team, first, when we talk about the agile service management roles, what I'm doing is I'm just comparing with these roles with the Scrum. Now, in ITIL 4, we are talking about different practices. There are 34 practices. Out of them, 15 are in scope for the foundation. So now we have a practice owner role. So if we talk about a product owner role in Scrum, who manages or owns or who's the content authority for product backlog. So on par with product owner in Agile Service Management, we have Agile Practice Owner. So when we are creating those practices, when we are going to, let's say, improve those practices, we would need this kind of role, Agile Practice Owner, who's going to be owning a practice backlog. Now we don't have a product backlog anymore in Agile Service Management. We'll have a practice backlog. And we write the, we'll have those micro processes here. I'm going to give you an example of micro process as well. Like we have a microservices architecture in software development. For Agile Service Management, we get into the microprocesses architecture. Like if we talk about incident management as a practice, within that, there would be different microprocesses. Like you are going to investigate, or let's say you're going to log the tickets. So logging becomes one of the microprocesses. So there will be different activities within that particular process. How are we performing those? So you have those microprocesses architecture. So you have a practice owner role who's going to own a practice backlog. And within that practice backlog, you will have different microprocesses and you will have high-level stories about those microprocesses. And you have Scrum team. So here you have Agile Service Management team. In Agile Service Management team, you will include the practice owner and service manager roles as well. Both the roles are included in Agile Service Management team. And what is the structure of this Agile Service Management team? I'm going to show you that. Then you have a Scrum Master role. So here you have Agile Service Manager, who's going to act as a Scrum Master, who's going to facilitate different team events, or that is going to be conducted throughout the sprint. So you have that Agile Service Manager role. Now, if I talk about a practice owner role, similar to product owner, practice owner is going to own a practice backlog, will be coordinating with different stakeholders, will understand business goals quite well, and will be creating a practice backlog or would ensure that those practices are delivered or implemented correctly or improvised correctly or managed correctly. So that is a practice owner role. Whereas when we talk about the service management team, so service management team, again, similar attributes like we have it in Agile software development. So we are talking about self-managing teams or kind of self-organizing. So that's one of the principles from Agile. Cross-functional and cross-skill, they are not just from one particular domain. So they will be cross-functional. I'm going to show you a structure of the team in the next slide. Then we are talking about accountability for the work produced as a whole, regardless of individual skills. It works as one team, without egos, without sub-teams. So here, these are the roles that we have. So we have customer and or a process practitioner. Now, who's a process practitioner? Who works on that particular process activity or different set of process activities? So here, if we are implementing a process, if we are implementing a practice, for example, incident management, who's going to use it? Who are the users? So users are not the end users here. Users will be from the operations team. They will be treated as those process practitioners or the customers for that particular practice if we are deploying that practice. But on the other hand, when you are managing the practice, so then you will have, again, the people who are working on managing that incident. Yeah. So that role. And then you have a process architect. Now this we would need when we are designing a new process or we are improvising a process. We also need tools administrator or engineer who's going to work on configuring the tool for that particular process, like ServiceNow. And we need a change manager who's going to track all the changes in the tools, in the processes as and when needed, and a documenter role or a scribe role. So these are different roles that are there in the Agile Service Management team. Now this team, when we are designing a new process, when we are implementing a new process, and when we are going to improve a process or a practice. So if I talk about, let's say, a live incident, and if we are managing an incident, so then you will not have a tools guy, tools administrator. So there in that team, you will have people who are going to resolve that incident. So it's a temporary cross-functional team that will be created for resolving that incident. And we will see how different the events are going to change. So I'll show you that also. But this is overall team structure that we have. Then we have an agile service manager role, more of a servant leader, acting as a facilitator, teacher, coach. So role is similar to Scrum Master, is going to coach the team, is going to act as a facilitator, busting the impediments, removing the bottlenecks, and is going to protect the team. So these are three main attributes of Agile Service Manager. Now team, sometime back I told you the structure. So it should be about the Agile, I would say microprocesses architecture. So when we have a practice, so in a practice like incident management as a practice, so there can be a process. One of the process could be, let's say, you're trying to detect the incidents and you're going to log the incidents, detection and logging of the incidents. So that is one of the processes. Within that, there could be multiple microprocesses. Each feature in that incident management could be like categorization of the incidents. You're going to categorize it, prioritize it. Those could be treated as microprocesses for that particular incident. So that's more of a microprocess architecture. So we are saying practice, it's a complete end-to-end capability for managing a specific aspect of service delivery. Like you have managing the changes, you have change enablement practice as per ITL 4, and you have incident management, you have service level management. And then if we talk about the process, now here in that sort, process is a structured set of activities designed to accomplish specific objective. And then you have microprocesses. So when I talk about the microprocesses, it is a distinct activity that can be defined, designed, implemented, and managed independently, but is integrated and interoperable with other microprocesses. So this is the architecture that we are going to follow in Agile Service Management. Just to give you an example, see, you have incident management practice. Within that, there could be different processes. Now, if I talk about these logging, categorization, investigation, restoration, review, and closure, these can be treated as different microprocesses. So these microprocesses can be can have an interface with the microprocesses from the other practice. So that is how we get into the microprocesses architecture, and we try to integrate, or we try to create the interfaces between those microprocesses. Now team, here we are talking about Scrum events and Agile Service Management events, how they change, and Scrum artifacts. So here, if I talk about Scrum events, we are saying that as per the Scrum, you have the sprint. Sprint is one of the events. Then you have sprint planning, daily Scrum, sprint review, sprint retrospective. These 4 events are part of every sprint. Whereas in Agile Service Management, we again treat sprint as an event. We will have a sprint planning. Instead of daily Scrum or daily stand-ups, we call it as a process stand-up. Then you have a sprint review and sprint retrospective, similar to what we have in Scrum. But here we also have a planning. So you have a planning that is being done, which is again a kind of optional meeting. It is not just one day that we do a planning. This planning can be complete iteration, which most of the organization happen to call as sprint 0, or where we do the strategic planning for that particular microprocess, or overall for the practices, how many microprocesses will be there. So we will end up creating a practice backlog as a part of this planning. So that is one of the events. So these are different events in Agile Service Management. Now, if I talk about Scrum artifacts, so we have product backlog, sprint backlog, and increment that we deliver at the end of every sprint. We call that as one of the artifacts. Similar to that, in Agile Service Management, now we have a practice backlog, which will talk about microprocesses within that particular practice and high-level user stories related to those microprocesses. And you have a sprint backlog, which will have detailed stories about the microprocess and an increment. So these are the artifacts that we have in Agile Service Management. Now team, before I go ahead, I'll talk about the tools again, and then I'll open the session for question and answers. See, right now, the structure that we have seen, this is mainly for implementing a new practice or improving a practice. But if we are talking about managing the live incidents, so this is going to change a bit. So there, can we call incident as a sprint? No. So what do we do in there? There we implement Kanban as a framework. We don't implement Scrum. We implement Kanban as a framework. Now in Kanban as a framework, you don't have a sprint planning meeting. You don't have a Scrum Master role. So there, mainly your Agile Service Delivery Manager who can act as a PO for the team. And then you have a team who's going to, let's say you're talking about managing a problem. So resolving a problem. So the team that is working together will be your Agile Service Management team. Similar to that, if you're logging an incident, for logging the incident or for resolving that incident, you will create a to-do list. We are doing that nowadays. We have the Kanban boards for all the incidents that we are creating. And in the Kanban board, we will have stories that we write to resolve the incident. Means complete to-do list, complete task list will be available in your Kanban board. And rest of the way, like team is going to assign those tickets to themselves, and they are going to work on or those tasks to themselves, and they're going to work on resolving those tasks or completing those tasks. And this is how they resolve incident. So here, most of these events change because what we do for implementing a new process or for improving the existing processes or practices, we can use Scrum. We can use these events. But when it comes to managing the live incidents, managing the problems, managing the changes, we are using Kanban as a framework most of the time, because Kanban as a framework is more of informal way of working. But yes, again, overall Agile principles are there, those 4 values and 12 principles, because Kanban is one of the Agile frameworks that we use. And plus, we are going to use some of the practices that come from DevOps or SRE. We apply those mindset as well, depending on the team. But when we talk about Agile Service Management, this is how it should work. Now, if we talk about a tool requirement, our tool should help in all these events. So there should be, let's say, the sprint planning meeting. How do we conduct that? Sprint backlogs, how are we going to manage it? Tools should have that interface. When we do the daily stand-up meetings, we create the burn-up charts, burn-down charts. So is that tool facilitating those charts, visual dashboards like Kanban boards? Is it helping us in managing all that? Then we track the improvement action items. Is that tool helping us there? So we have to ensure that those tools are helping us there. Means that tool should be good at service management as well as should be good at Agile. So that's why Jira is one of the good tools. I'm not saying it is the only tool. ServiceNow has equally improved and improvised. Now ServiceNow is offering you all those Kanban boards that you can utilize. So ServiceNow is also one of the best tools. Apart from that, those other tools that I told you earlier are tools that can be utilized. So team, here, these are just some names like Jira, ServiceNow. Remedy was market leader once, but they lost a lot of customers due to integrating or integration options that were very limited there. But still, they have improvised a lot. They're coming up there. Zendesk is good. Then you can obviously look at what tools are available in your organization and try to utilize them. Because I know every other organization is using ServiceNow for the service management. Remedy is also there, but you can pick up any one of those. And otherwise, for development, for most of the development teams, they're still using Jira. So you can try to utilize Jira or try to utilize the integration of Jira and ServiceNow. That is also available. We have done that where we had application development team and the operations team. So we had integrated their way of working. We implemented chat ops. Just to give you an example. See, we implemented chat ops. What we did, so we had the operations team and the development team whenever there was an incident. So there was a Slack room that was created. These teams were part of the Slack room. A post about that incident was made in that Slack room, and automatically a dedicated channel for that incident will be created. These teams would be added, required teams would be added to that channel, and they would work on resolving that incident. And there they were, sorry, there they were given an option to create a Kanban board. And that Kanban board will have the complete to-do list. There was a technical environment manager who would check that within 15 minutes, have they ended up creating that task list in the Kanban board? Can we see whether they are whether the tasks that they are going to perform can resolve that incident within the given time or not. And then we used to see whether how many tasks everyone is working on. We could easily see the bottlenecks, like the Kanban board says. If you visualize, if you apply the WIP limits, you can see excess capacity, you can see the bottlenecks, and you can try to eliminate those bottlenecks. That's what Agile Service Manager is for. And you will create a flow. So we give them the option to create the Kanban board. Now those teams should not spend time, unnecessary time on the admin activities. So we had automated the ticket creation in ServiceNow. And so with the initial information from the channel, Slack channel, automated incident ticket was created, and these teams would be sending a lot of user communication so that they should not miss out on the user communications. We also automated the reminder for them. So they used to get the reminder when they have to send that user com so that we are not breaching those SLAs. Now, this is how we created a platform for collaborating these teams, but these teams were able to see who's doing what. We give them the platform through Kanban, how they can work together to resolve those incidents within the given time, within the given SLA, so that there is no blame game. Anybody could see their Kanban board anytime. So that was something that gave teams a better way to collaborate, and it helped the business. Maybe reducing those outages, and or maybe you are bringing down the time to resolve the incidents. Those were the benefits. So Agile Service Management is the need of an hour. It is needed. And to support Agile Service Management, you need a tool which is providing you the service management capability as well as the Agile. So you have these tools. So team, here, before I end my session, let me tell you, from GSDC, we get a certification on Agile Service Management. So that is Certified Agile ITSM Manager that you get. And apart from that certification, you have all these other certifications that are available. So there's a training that is available from GSDC on Agile Service Management. You can go for that training and you can get these certification.